What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Blue River Bow Hunting Podcast, episode 91. We're fresh off some deer hunting, Dylan. I went down to Dylan's place, Tennessee velvet hunt for 3 days. Had a great time down there with Dylan and his family. Didn't come back home with nothing, which was kind of my own fault. I passed some small bucks. Didn't really want to shoot anything super young or super small, so not really anything to go into that in detail as far as hunts go, but I mean, it was a blast going down there. I appreciate you having me down there, man.
No problem. The weather was as nice as you could get for August hunting.
Oh,
I guess.
for sure.
So we were deer hunting in the morning and swimming in the lake by 12 o'clock. So
yeah. I mean, honestly, the last couple of years when I went to Kentucky, it was way hotter than that. So a high of 85 wasn't that bad. The mornings were absolutely beautiful. Low 60s, even high 50s the Friday morning, which I saw 3 bucks, passed on a couple small ones, and then had a doe walk right underneath me. But it was a buck only hunt in Tennessee. So, but this week's show, man, we got Justin Graves from Graveyard Whitetails up here in Illinois. What's going on, man?
I'm just staying busy.
I guarantee it. So, somebody that doesn't know you, Justin, introduce yourself a little bit.
Justin Graves. I'm the owner of Graveyard Whitetails. These 26 farms here in West Central Illinois, about 6,000 acres.
It's awesome, man. When exactly did you start Graveyard Whitetails? Kind of lay down the history of it a little bit.
I was working for the railroad at the time, but 2015, 2013, I guess, I became a guide and guided for a couple of years. In 2015, I decided to build my lodge and then went out on my own from there. Just started leasing all the property on myself, and it's definitely grown from there. I mean, I started with about 1,500 acres in 2015 and grew it to about 6,000 acres. So
that's awesome. What made you transition into guiding? Is there something that caught your eye, or a business opportunity, or how did that all come about?
I was working for a farmer, so I started guiding a little bit on the side, and then just always liked hunting. Always liked the outdoors, and then I kind of got into it and realized it's something I could do myself. So just went out and made it happen.
That's awesome, man. Where you guys are located in Illinois, correct?
Yes, West Central Illinois, basically right in the corner of Iowa, Missouri. About 20 minutes from Iowa and 40 minutes from Missouri.
That's a pretty good little spot to be in, for sure. So do you hunt yourself, or is it pretty much just when that time of the year comes in, you're grinding pretty hard on getting everybody in spots?
Yeah, I mean, it's just I gun hunt a little bit. I ain't really got time to hunt during season, I mean, I try to go out and kill some does in October and stuff like that, but other than that, I mean, no, I'm more worried about everybody else. I haven't shot a buck in Illinois since I started doing this. It's probably been 12 years since I shot a buck here.
Yeah.
I try to get out and do some hunting outside of states. I go to New Mexico elk hunt in 3 weeks, so
nice.
I try to leave the state and do a little bit of hunting myself, but
yeah.
So do you do all your own ag work as far as food plots and stuff like that, or is that just like you're leasing the farms that are running, kind of the big?
I do all my food plots, stuff like that, but all the farms that have ag, I mean, no, somebody else does all that. So I lease what I can. I mean, if I can lease 4 or 5 acres on a farm for food plots, then I'll do it. But some guys, I buy 1 or 2 acres off of some farmers to stay in the corn or stay in the beans. Sometimes that's the only option I got. So anywhere that I can plant a little food plot, I try to do it just to help a little bit, but they don't always grow here. Some of mine I got some turnip patches right now that are probably 6, 7, 8 inches tall, and then some are just starting to pop out of the ground. So I do got some really good ones, and some are kind of struggling, but they do look pretty good around here right now. 99 degrees a day, so hopefully they don't fry them a little bit, but we need some rain. So
yeah, for sure. Lay out the properties, talk about ag, the acreage, kind of the layout of the land.
Most of them are most of them are 50-50. I got a property that's 600 acres. It's all CRP. I do about 20 acres of food plots on it. There's no ag on it. I got another 600-acre property that's 50-50. There's about 190 acres of tillable on it. Almost 300 and some timber. So it just depends on the farm. I got farms that are 100 acres that are 40 tillable, 60 timber. So it just varies here and there. They all got food sources or food and water sources. Seems like there's a creek or a pond on all of them. So they do have the water, and then every one of them's got the food. So most of the ground here is flat. We got a little bit of hills in here or there, but basically draws. Nothing too steep.
When I go to Missouri, actually here coming up here in a few weeks, I drive kind of through that section of the state or somewhat close to you. And only thing I always notice when I drive through that section of Illinois is how dark your soil is. When I go back later on and after they've already picked the crops and stuff, it almost seems like your soil is like black.
Yeah.
Is that how it is where you guys are at too?
Pretty much, yeah. It's definitely rich soil. I mean, land prices around here keep going up, but probably some of the best soil around, I mean, It's definitely produces the crop.
Yeah. I've heard a lot of stories or theories that that kind of soil, not only does that affect the ag, but it can also affect the deer. And that's how some of these states are able to grow, Illinois, everybody calls it the land of the giants. I mean, do you think that soil has any kind of effect on that?
Yeah. Everybody says there's a lot of minerals in the soil. I don't know what to take from it, but I talked to a guy at Harrisburg, Pennsylvania one time. He tried to get me to buy minerals before he knew I was an outfitter in Illinois. And when he first started his company, he told me the first thing he did was dug soil up in Illinois and took it back and tested it before he made his minerals. So I don't know how much truth there is to it, but if you follow the creek banks around here, I mean, you'll see where the deer are pounding creek banks and, it seems like they're licking the soil, eating it. There's definitely a bunch of mineral in our soil. So I don't know how much truth there was to that guy of that's how he made his mineral, but I mean, I can kind of believe a little bit of it, but
right.
But I mean, I'd say it definitely helps our deer. I mean, we can't bait or do anything here, so I mean, we still produce 200-inch deer, for not doing anything. So
right.
Yeah, I was fixing to say that the proof's in the pudding, and I see a lot of your Snapchat, so I know you've got some really, I mean, some of your bucks that you have up there in my area in East Tennessee, like you might find, one of your probably what you would consider a mid is a very large, antler size here, not counting the body size. I know your deer out there are probably, on hoof almost twice what ours are weighing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I noticed that big time this past weekend when I had them does and young bucks come through there. I was like, man, I know these are young deer. I don't know about the doe itself, but the bucks were, I don't know, year and a half, maybe two on the first morning, and the body size, I was like, man. I mean, that's a yearling back here in Indiana, and I'm nothing against Tennessee.
Yeah.
It's nothing like that. I'm not saying nothing like that. It was just wild to see that because I've never hunted Tennessee for deer. I'm used to hunting those Midwest whitetails when the bodies just get, I mean, stupid big.
Massive.
Yeah. You guys do some doe hunts out there as well in Illinois?
Yeah, I get a group of guys that here and there they'll want to kill does for meat. I mean, not everybody comes to kill giants. Obviously, I mean, I get a lot of guys in camp that do it for more of a vacation and get away. And they'll kill 2 or 3 does to have meat to go home with, and even if they don't kill a big one, but typically I'd say a lot of my guys are repeat, so. The guys that have been coming for 6-7 years, I mean, they've all killed 3 or 4 bucks. I'd typically say about every third year. I mean, if you come for 6 years, every third year you're gonna kill a 160 or plus. You just gotta be patient, kind of. I mean, it's it's not easy. Like, it's all about weather, and we have the deer now. Obviously, we have a big population. I mean, if you want to kill 130, I'd say 80% opportunity to get it done. But a lot of my guys these days want to kill 150, 160. They come here to kill big deer, so it's not quite as easy, But I don't typically sell very many doe hunts,
Right.
hunts, but I've had people ask before, and I get some people ask me about coming down and killing a coal buck, and it's like, what do you really classify as a coal buck? I mean,
Right.
in Illinois, I mean, yeah, you can have a shit buck one year, but next year it can be something stupid. I mean, you can grow non-typical and be something special. You just never know.
Yeah, you might just get that lick of that brown soil and turn into a non-typical in over a year like that for sure.
Well, typically we don't try to, not unless the deer's old and needs shot, but typically if a deer is young and kind of goofy, I mean, we try to let them go because you just never know what it's going to turn out to be 4.5 years old, so. Right.
Well, talk about that a little bit. Talk about, is there an age requirement or any kind of antler requirements as far as like a 130 minimum or anything like that?
I've been 125 past several years. Trying to go to 130. Okay. So next year I plan on being strictly 130. Trying to get everybody kind of go that way this year. Basically, when everybody comes in camp, I just try to talk everybody to do it. I charge a little fine. It's $500. I mean, to a lot of people, it's not much. The thing about it was, when I first started doing it, I didn't run a fee or fine I didn't run a minimum. I just kind of did it. And what you find out is that people start filling tags on the last day. They just want to fill a tag and kill something. And it's like, you can kill all the does you want, if you want to do that. But so I kind of went to the penalty and the fine because I had guys in camp that been hunting me for 5 years, and they're like, it'd be nice to start seeing better quality deer being killed. So the guys that want to do it every year in and out, they were starting to get to the point that, somebody filling a tag on the last day killing a 6-pointer wasn't looking too good, I mean.
Right.
And that's not what people come to Illinois for,
All right. I totally understand that.
So that's the reason I went to the 125 minimum and to the fine. Past couple of years, last year, then we killed 12 deer over 150 inches. So the quality of deer were definitely getting a lot better. People are being more patient, passing up a lot more deer because they've been coming several years, and they're starting to realize, hey, I've killed the 120, 130, I've killed the 140s. I'm here to kill 160 or better, so.
Yeah, I totally understand that. You said your biggest killed on one of these farms was a 199?
Yeah, 2020 we killed a 199. Had no pictures of it. The deer came from about 3/4 mile away. Showed up first day of gun season. The guy was from Florida. He bought the hunt through a benefit. I donated it. I think the biggest deer he ever killed was 120 inches. So it was one of those things that I put the dude in deer stand, and he called me at 30 minutes into the hunt. And he, was all excited, told me he shot this giant. I was like, from Florida, I was expecting, 150-inch deer, kind of.
Right.
I went over there to see this thing, and, we never had it on camera or anything. And, yeah, I taped out a 199. Had probably 2 or 3 inches broke off of it. I think it had 16 points.
Jesus.
Just had stickers all over the place.
Wow.
So it was a heck of a deer. So I got it, and then I have a pair of sheds that scored 199. And then we found in 2018, I think it was, I found a set of locked antlers up. Bucks, they were 199 and 176 locked together.
Wow.
So I got 3 deer right at the 200 mark, but I just can't get over it.
I know, 1 inch off. That's just like a slap in the face.
Yeah. So.
How many
and
people
that's hard
do you
to get the 199?
Oh,
Yeah.
Absolutely, for sure. How many people are coming through the outfitter per year, and like when do you kind of start having your hunts?
I start first week October. Sean Johnson, the guy that Dylan knows, follows on Snapchat. he always comes like the first week. So he'll be here, and then I run about 12 guys that week. Every week's kind of different. Obviously, I run probably about 10 weeks through the whole year.
Mm-hmm.
About 140 to 150 guys a year. So it basically comes down to about 5 guys per farm. So like last year, it's one of those things that, 26 different farms, not every farm gets hunted every year. We probably had 5 or 6 farms that only got hunted 4 or 5 days last year.
Mm-hmm.
It's just one of those things that, if I have a young 2.5 or 3.5-year-old deer that I don't want shot, I don't have to hunt the farm necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
I can kind of just let it sit and hope that deer makes it and turns into the giant I want it to be, kind of. If there's a farm that don't have hardly any deer on it, worth shooting, we kind of stay off of it. So it's just one of those things that's kind of why I like being spread out to 26 different farms. Everybody's hunting a different deer herd. All the farms have different deer herds. So if the farm don't have 150 deer on it, it's just like we try not to hunt it, kind of. So, and it's not always a case. I mean, sometimes you got to hunt the farms too, So
Yeah. Probably a good thing rotating farms like that, keeping the pressure off one. And obviously, if you have a buck in there that you don't really want shot quite yet, having that pressure off of a place can make a place, pretty amazing if you continue to do that over a long period of time, especially if it's a whole season you don't hunt a place like that.
Yeah. Yeah, and like going into this year, I think I found 25 sheds off of 25 different deer that were over 130 inches last year. So I knew going into this year I was going to have a lot of good deer on camera. I would say right now I have 40 different deer on camera that's over 150 inches. And we kill a lot of deer that we don't even have on camera. For instance, Sean invited Dylan Scott down here last year in January. And I put him on a farm that had good food and stuff like that. We had a foot of snow, and he shot a deer that's about 167, 168 inches, and I never had trail cam pictures of it. Talked to one of the neighbors this year, and it came from 3/4 mile away too. The kid that had it all year, he said it disappeared about December 10th and then never came back. And we shot it second week of January. We shot it January 10th. So
that's awesome.
It's just one of those things that I probably had more food than everybody else in the area, and kind of brought all the deer in that area, and we killed it. So
yeah. Talk about.
I remember seeing. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, no. I think there's a lag on your end, Dylan. I think, but go ahead, man. Go ahead.
Yeah, let me try to fix that. I was gonna say I remember seeing Sean's Snapchats, and it was like a freaking blizzard, and I was like, there ain't gonna be nothing moving in that kind of weather. But
yeah, we probably had like 16 inches of snow, and it was like,
damn.
At the end of the week, like the last 2 days they hunted, it was probably like 30-mile-an-hour winds, and the wind chill was probably -10, -20. I mean, it was brutal out there. Dylan took his buddy over to a farm, and they literally walked like probably 3/4 mile through snow drifts because they couldn't drive through the field to get back to the spot. They were trying to kill a 170-inch deer for his buddy, and they put in the work. They just never got it done. They seen it every night. It was just never got close enough. So
you almost need like a snowmobile with 16 inches of snow.
Yeah.
Talk about stand locations. I mean, having that big of a property, I'm sure it's hard. Well, not hard, but there's so much land that you got to try to cover and see what deer you got. How do you go about putting stand locations in?
So most of my stands, base them off of, like right now, you put most of them up on food sources, basically. Somewhere you can kind of see a long way. So I allow all my guys to bring their own climbers or saddles or hang-ons if they want to move a little bit. So I try to put some hang-ons, where I think the rut deer kind of happen, where we kill deer every year. But a lot of my stands are over food plots or on the edge of a field, where you can see a good ways in the timber and then see the field too. Because basically out here, a lot of our corn don't get cut until early October or mid-October, and around our field edges. So the first whole month we're hunting field, cornfields. So a lot of those, a lot of deer are going to walk the edge of the cornfield. So a lot of my stands are set up on like the edges.
Yeah,
I got stands that are down in the woods and down in the creek bottoms, for rut hunting too. But the biggest thing is a lot of my stands are for people to get a good idea of where they need to be, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
The guys that bring a saddle or a climber and put in a little bit of work, are typically the guys that kill the big deer too. You can sit in a stand, and so, for an instance, I had a guy from Pennsylvania. It was his second year. His first year here, he hunted a big farm. It was 600 acres. That morning, he shot a buck, and it was first year here, and he told us, he's like, I just hope it's 125 inches. So he got down. I was gonna go over there and help him a little bit, and he's hunted elk and hunted other states, and he found a couple drops of blood, and he found his arrow, and he's like, "There's nothing on my arrow but white hair." So he literally grazed the belly of this deer, So
Yeah.
he's like, "I'm gonna move my stand, and I'm just gonna sit back up and try to hunt that deer," So I said, "Go for it." He moved his stand 400 yards across the property and sat there the rest of the day. And about 20 minutes before dark, he called me and he said he smoked one. I said, "Come back, we'll eat dinner. We'll go back after dinner." So we get out there, and he told us, he said he sounded like he smoked a log, like he thought he shot his shoulder. So
Oh
we
boy.
found no blood at all. Couldn't find no blood. And about 80 yards in front of us, we find the deer. The deer scored 151 inches. The deer had a 3.5-inch cut in his chest. And I was like, how is this deer not bleeding? Well, we go back and find his arrow stuck in the shoulder of the deer. Well, come find out, he shot that deer twice that day. He shot in the morning and the night.
Oh
Same
my
deer,
God.
100 yards apart on that farm.
Sounds like old boy needs to practice with that bow a little bit.
Yeah. So the second one went through all the goodies and hit the opposite shoulder, So
Yeah.
so then the next year he comes out, and I told him, I said, it was a new farm. There was a patch of cedars that was real thick for like 20 acres. I said, if you put the work in, I said, go into the back of there. You're going to have to hike in there. It's through a couple ravines. Hike in there, hang a stand on this ridge, and you're going to see a good deer. So he did it. The first day he sat there, he seen 6 does. They all walked the trail at 70 yards. He got down after dark, moved his stand in the dark, put his stand 10 yards off that trail. The very next morning, 30 minutes in the hunt, he called me. He shot a 181-inch deer on that same trail. So all he did was literally move his deer stand 50 yards that night in the dark to kill that deer, So, I mean, it's one of those things that, like, if you're sitting in Illinois and all the does are walking a trail 70 yards, sometimes it's best to get on that, that's obviously the trail they're using during the rut.
Right.
So he did that, and, it paid off for him. So the stand locations, like, if you're sitting in a stand during the rut here and all the deer seem like they're using a trail 80, 90 yards from you, you got a climber or hang on can move 40, 50 yards closer, so you're a good shot to that trail. That's kind of what you need sometimes. So
Yeah, absolutely. You're kind of telling the story about the guy shooting it twice. What other kind of horror stories or crazy stories do you have? I'm sure you probably got a whole bunch of guys making bad shots or something like that.
I don't get I get a lot of bad shots, obviously.
Yeah.
I probably 20 to 25 deer either missed or wounded every year. Most of them are just impatient, I had a guy last year shoot a deer on the run at 25 yards. It's like,
Oh shit.
he was chasing a doe around his deer stand, and just didn't have patience wait for it to slow down,
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the guys that's the thing. The deer during the rut will run by you chasing a doe, and a lot of guys think they got to shoot right now,
Yeah.
Most of the time that deer is going to stay in that area for a couple of days, chasing that doe. So
Mm-hmm.
the deer probably would have came back within the next 10 minutes, but it's just one of those things they get impatient and just think they got to shoot now.
Right.
Other than that, I mean, I've had a lot of deer shot straight on, kind of. Deer will be walking to somebody, and they don't give it time to turn, or they think they can take the shot through the chest, but if you hit the chest straight on, our deer here, kind of like Indiana, is so big,
Yeah. So that
a lot of them
brisket's so
don't
thick.
penetrate.
Yeah.
The biggest thing I get from like east guys out east, and even south, I've had people from Alabama, had a girl one time come back. She was shooting 48 pounds on a bow, and she's like, I put it right on the shoulder, and I was like, I get it in Alabama, you got smaller deer, like here you can't shoot through a shoulder blade, with a 50-pound bow,
No, I don't even want to shoot through the shoulder with a 70-pound bow.
So that's the thing, like,
Yeah.
when you're shooting at smaller deer, people don't realize how big the deer are here when they get here. When you do it for the first time, you just think you can shoot anywhere on a deer and your arrows don't penetrate it, but they're just so more muscular here and big boned, and
For sure.
it's just different.
What about lodge life? I know you said earlier you built a lodge there yourself. Talk about kind of lodge life, like what it's like after a hunt, or eating dinner and that kind of thing. What's the nightlife like?
Yeah. So me and my brother built the lodge in 2015. We originally built it as 72 by 40. There's 8 bedrooms upstairs, 2 big bathrooms with 6 showers. So then in 2022, I added on an addition, 25 by 51, added 2 more bathrooms, 2 more bedrooms, put a loft in, kind of opened it up a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
So after, everybody comes in, typically I got a couple girls that do some of the food. All the food in lodges is all included in the hunts. Typically try to do like fried turkey and ham one night, do deer steaks and shrimp one night, chicken Alfredo lasagna, fried chicken and fried fish one night. We normally have a Mexican night. So a lot of guys, you get some guys that everybody kind of spreads out. It's so big here. There's a big bar. Some guys will just sit around and watch some football games, drink beer at the bar, and some guys will want to play cards. There's a ping pong table here that we got last year that kind of became competitive. I mean, I didn't know there was some serious ping pong players out there, but got a pool table for activities. So then I got a wraparound deck that a lot of people just chill on the deck and nice evenings out. We've had some fires before. Went outside and started some fires, but a lot of guys just want to chill. But yeah, I mean, the ping pong table was a hit. I never thought there was guys from New York last year that I guess their parents were professional ping pong players, and it was like I didn't know I was getting myself into getting a ping pong table here, but
like Forrest Gump too. Oh, that's cool. I've only been to an outfitter once. I went to Buffalo County, Wisconsin, back in 2020, and that was probably my favorite part. Besides the deer hunting, was amazing. That was one of my favorite parts, was to get back, get a shower, get some food in me, and hang out with the other people there, and have a couple beers, and we played cards, and just hearing everybody's hunt from the day, how to go for you today, and then them telling the story. I think that's one of the coolest parts of having something like that is, and like you said, people from New York, Alabama, you get all those different kinds of people together, and it can be a pretty good time.
Yeah. Yeah, you hear a lot of good stories. That's the thing I love about it is that, that's why when you ask me about hunting around here, I enjoy finding the deer sheds, really.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy watching people kill the deer and the excitement on their faces, kind of. But to sit around camp and listen to people's stories from all over the place is incredible, I mean, everybody goes hunting everywhere. I get guys from California to New York to Texas to Florida. I pretty much had almost every state here, so it's just amazing to listen to these guys' stories. And the guys from California and like Oregon that hunted here, like they've never used deer stands before. It's like it's a whole different ballpark when you come here and like go tell them go sit in a deer stand. They're used to chasing mule deer on the foot, and doing all from the ground. And they've tried to hunt whitetail here basically from the ground, and they realize, it's tough like that. You can't hardly, track a whitetail like you can a muley. And they've they've been coming 4 or 5 years, and they literally put effort in every year, and they're getting more into deer stands now, but they don't like the heights, you know. They kind of like to stay on the ground, and that's how they're used to hunting, you know. That's how they want to kill a whitetail. They keep telling me they just want to kill a good whitetail by run and gun, basically, you know, kind of
Right.
stalking it a little bit. But
Yeah, that's another cool thing too. I mean, that you mentioned it, like the different ways that everybody does stuff. Like even you got guys coming up from Florida. I couldn't even tell you where to start deer hunting in Florida because of the swamps and all that kind of stuff. And then kind of even, you know, the difference between me and Dylan, and it's not even, we're only a couple states apart. There's only one state in between us. You know, he's got such big hardwoods compared to what I'm hunting in Indiana. I'm flat. I'm hunting fence rows. I'm hunting pinch points. I'm hunting the features of the land compared to, you know, in Tennessee, there's so many features. I wouldn't know where to start. I mean, if you give me a 3 or 4 days, I'd probably figure it out. But just the differences between everybody, and then hearing the way they do things. I mean, that's a fun thing we do here on the podcast. That's why we like having so many different types of people on, hearing the way they do things, and it can help other people out that are listening and stuff like that. It's always pretty cool.
Yeah.
So talk about Illinois tag prices. I'm not current on the Illinois tag prices. What's it cost to hunt in Illinois these days?
So the bow hunting, you got to buy the archer combo. They make you buy a doe tag. So archer combo, the hunt license, habitat stamp, everything's $474. If you do a gun hunt, they don't make you buy a doe tag, so it's only $300 for a buck tag.
Okay.
So it's kind of, I don't get why Illinois does it, but so for gun hunting, you can buy a doe tag for $25. The doe tag for bow hunting's $100. Why the difference? I don't understand it, but I guess more people bow hunt than gun hunt, so that's why they do it, I guess. But yeah, about $474 for bow hunting and about $350 to gun hunt.
I got you. What about like pricing for your hunts? What's a bow hunt cost up there?
So it depends a week. If you do like the first week October, this year I did it for $22.50. Most likely going to go about $25 next year. Anywhere from $2,500 to $3,500 for a whole week, 7 days. Typically, like my rut hunts will run Friday to Friday, then Saturday to Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
So they're $3,800 for 7 days, food and lodging is all included. If you do the gun hunt, like the November gun hunt, it's 3 days. Typically sell them for about $3,800. I only try to sell about 10 to 15 of them.
Mm-hmm.
Typically, they don't last very long. Everybody wants to. It's right at the end of basically the first week before Thanksgiving, so kind of right at the end of our rut. Kind of everybody wants to be here, hunt it. The second gun season is a 4-day. It's the second week. It's a weekend after Thanksgiving. It's
Okay.
December 5th through like the 8th, and I typically do it for about $3,200.
Okay.
That one, there's more hunting food plots, stuff like that. Weather's colder. If you show up in 60 degrees in December, hunting ain't gonna be no good. I mean, that's just honest truth.
Yeah, for sure.
It don't matter how much food you got. You know, if it's hot, the deer just don't want to move that much.
Mm-hmm.
If you show up and it's 0 degrees and snow on the ground, you'll see 70, 80 deer if you want. You know, if you can put up with the cold temperatures and sit out there.
Get you one of them heater bodysuits. You ever had them guys bringing them in, them heater bodysuits?
Few buddies around here have them. I have had a couple of guys bring a couple. I bought one last year. I never used it, but my guys from California did use it a couple of days. They just wanted to try it out because they thought about going to one next year. But other than that, no, not too much. I mean, a lot of guys that come here, they really stick it out. Like, you know, I was impressed. Like, I mean, Dylan Scott and his buddy and those guys. Dylan Scott shot his out of a tree, out of 21-foot Millennium ladder stand in 0-degree temperatures and 16 inches of snow on the ground, man. I mean,
yeah, that's hardcore.
That's what I mean. Some of these guys, I mean, some of the guys don't care. They'll stick it out and put in the work, you know. But
Mm-hmm.
and obviously, you know, I mean, I went to Utah and killed a mountain lion. It was cold as shit, you know. I mean, it's a little different when you pay for it. It's
Right.
me sitting here doing it is a
Yeah.
different story. Like, I ain't gonna go out there and hunt, you know. But when you're paying for it, it's like, we gotta get out there and hunt, you know. So
Yeah. Go ahead, Dylan. Was you trying to say something?
No, mine should be doing better. I got my stuff figured out. But what is like your perfect case scenario? Like if you're trying to book with you, you know, kind of what do you recommend? Because, you know, Brett and I know a ton of people. They're looking for, you know, like a lot of people I run into that they want to go to an outfitter that gives them the freedom like you do. You know, you're not like,
yeah.
hey, you got to sit here, you can't do that. Because some people do watch over your shoulder. So, you know, kind of set it up for somebody if they want to book with you, kind of what they're looking for as far as weather, the dates, and stuff like that.
So typically, I'd say the better weeks, obviously, like the first week of October, you can kill a good deer patterned. Like right now, I mean, I went to a bunch of cell cameras. I got 100 cell cameras out right now. I can basically tell you where the 180-inch deer are right now. So, I mean, first week of October, we can pattern deer. Sean Johnson killed his last year, 180 inches, the third day of October, October 3rd. So we can kill. I had another guy 2 years ago kill 177, I think October 4th. I had the deer basically patterned. I told him exactly where it was going in and out of the cornfield. He went and sat up a stand. The very next night, he killed it. So typically, the first week of October, you can kill a good deer basically off of patterns. So, I mean, it typically fills up pretty fast because everybody wants kind of in the first week. So, like, you want to be like 60, 70 degrees then. I mean, you're not going to get any cooler than that probably in Illinois. You just don't want to be 99 degrees out.
Yeah.
So last year I had guys show up at the end of October and they were hunting T-shirts. It was 90 degrees. It was miserable. Kind of sucked. I mean, if you're going to do an October hunt in Illinois, you need to be in the 60-degree temperatures. That's perfect scenario. So I'd say outside of first week October, the first 2 weeks of November are going to be the rut. They're going to be your best hunts. You know, even if the weather's a little bit warmer, the deer are still going to be chasing a little bit. But even going into November, typically around here, you want the 30, 40-degree weather. You know, some frost on the ground, some good days to sit all day. You don't want the 70 degrees, you know, where you're sweating your ass off sitting in a deer stand. So that's kind of those 2 weeks, and then the first week of October is the weeks that fill up the fastest. And then the first week of gun season, just because it's like at the end of the rut. No guns have been fired in Illinois, obviously. Typically, the first day of gun season is really good, and then by the time you get to the last day, some locals are pushing deer around and more deer kind of running because locals are walking some draws and stuff. But typically, you know, if you're willing to sit all day long, any time in November is really good as long as the weather's in the 30s, 40s. And even cooler. I mean, if you get the snow on the ground, that's a perfect scenario. I mean, you do all these turnip patches and leave beans standing and stuff like that and get 3-4 inches of snow on the ground, then the deer will go to the easy food source. So that's basically the perfect scenario. Like if you want to hunt like big deer, January can be where it's at too. Like you get a good snowfall and like those guys did and it's cold out and you can put up with the weather, then January is kind of where it's at. Now, as long as the food grows, I mean, you got to have rain. You know, as long as you get time of rain, like it's been dry here past week, but it's supposed to rain Friday. So as long as we get a good rain shower every week, my turnips should be fine. So I should have a bunch of good food plots. I think I did 56 different turnip patches this year. I just did every eighth of an acre that I could spray and plant, I did it. Anywhere from eighth of an acre to 3-acre patches. It just, there's a little bit of CRP here that I could mow off. I mowed it off and I planted it. Just tried to up my food source a little bit this year and put a little bit more work in. But, and I mean, I do a lot of that to find in my sheds. You know, I found 141 sheds last year.
That's nuts, man.
And I think I get a lot of people that ask to come help, and it's like, that's my time to have fun. You know, so I don't invite too many people down. I do invite a few people here and there, and some guys will come down and help a little bit. But I think last year I had 4 or 5 farms I didn't even walk. I got so tired of it and got to the point I was like, I can't do this anymore.
All right. What about like the processing process of somebody when they are able to harvest a deer? How do they go about doing all that?
So all my hunters that come into camp, I basically cape all the deer out for free, basically. I mean, they'll all tip me, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
So me and my brother own a butcher shop 5 miles down the road. So anybody that wants their deer completely butchered, we can have it done before they leave. Basically charge $130 to butcher it all into steaks and have it all packaged and everything and frozen before they leave.
Mm-hmm.
If they want to quarter the deer up and take it themselves and cut it up when they get home, we can quarter it up real fast and they can throw it in a cooler and they can leave it that way. Basically, they say you can't cross the state lines with spinal cord and brain matter. So I can break down a deer to get them out of here if that's what they want. But since I bought the locker 2 years ago with my brother, seems like most guys are kind of taking their deer anymore. Like most guys would just leave their deer with me and be like, yeah, you can have it. I don't want to screw with it.
Right.
But since me and him own the business now, and a lot of people just pay us $130 to completely butcher it, and they'll just take the deer home now with them. So
that's cool.
But it's another business that we got into, and we just do deer only. So we do about 550 deer a year, and it's between this and that. I mean, it definitely keeps them busy.
Oh, I guarantee it. Are locals bringing their deer to you too? Local hunters.
Yeah, so we're doing all the locals around here, and then I even get a lot of out-of-staters that bring us deer that just lease ground.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it just depends. Yeah, I do. Now between all the does we kill and bucks we kill, I probably do about 80 deer between out of graveyard whitetails.
Mm-hmm.
I think we killed about 40 bucks last year. And the thing was that, I've talked to a few guys this year. I killed 40 deer out of 150 people, about 35, 40%, but about 20 guys, about 20, 25 guys missed or wounded. So you add those onto the buck count of 60 to 70. We were basically 50%,
Mm-hmm.
So I had a conversation with a guy this year about a hunt, and he wanted to book a hunt. And I don't like lying to people. I'll tell people how it is, and I'll tell you what we killed and how many we killed. And I basically told him, I told him we killed like 35 bucks this year. And he told me that wasn't a good number. And he said he'd rather hunt with somebody that kills, 80 bucks a year over low mounted deer. And, it's one of those things that, like I told him, I was like, success don't mean as much to me as like opportunity does. The guys have been hunting here for 7-8 years. They've all get the opportunity to kill 130-inch deer, but they pass them up. So, I mean, the opportunity rate, I say, is about 80%, 85%, because if you want to come kill a 130-inch deer here, I can put you on a 130-inch deer and get it done pretty much. But the guys have been coming for 7-8 years that, there's like 50, 60 of those guys have been coming for so long that they're here to kill 150, 160 or better.
Mm-hmm.
And, 60 guys ain't going to kill 150 or better deer on free range ground, so
right.
It's not possible. So, I mean, the numbers to me, like your buck numbers don't really matter to me how many you kill. It's about opportunity, As long as the guys are seeing good buck and have a good time at camp, they're all going to keep coming back. I mean, that's what it's about, is the camp experience and seeing good deer. Now, if you sit out there for a whole week and don't see a 150-inch deer within 100 yards, because not every deer's going to come in shooting range either.
Right.
But, I mean, if you don't see shooters, I mean, yeah, you get frustrated and you're not going to want to come back.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, the thing is that, my goal is I got to put everybody on opportunity-wise of putting people on good deer and, at least seeing them, because, I mean, it's a whitetail. It's free range. They're not always going to come within 50 yards of you. I mean, they're going to be chasing does during the rut, and they might run by you at 70 yards, and, it might be a 180-inch deer, and you might tell yourself, hey, I just seen a 180-inch deer second day. I'm going to sit this spot out, and I'm going to hope he comes back. I mean, the chance of him come back, I mean, 50-50, I mean, that deer could chase that deer a mile, or that deer could come back the next day.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things that, the number of bucks you kill don't really matter to me, because those guys are getting the opportunities, but they're just passing up the smaller deer because they've seen bigger deer.
Yeah.
Like if you sit in a deer stand, you see 180-inch deer the second day. I mean, the next day you're probably not going to kill a 130-inch deer.
You're probably not going to sleep.
You know what's here. So that's the thing about my repeat guys is out of the 150 guys I sell hunts to, 120 of my guys come back every year. Because I had a guy call me today to book a hunt for next year, and he wanted to know how full I was. And I said, well, I don't really book too many hunts in advance because I know that I run a pretty good outfit, and 90% of my guys are going to want to rebook that hunt this year, want to rebook next year.
Mm-hmm.
So I try to, leave it to those guys first and then sell what I can after they're done, because that's what it's more about repeat guys to me than anything. Because I know outfitters out there that are booked up. They say they're booked up 2 years in advance.
Sure.
And it's like, if you're going to shove out your repeat guys like that, like you don't have, I'd rather have repeat guys over booking up 2 years in advance, and finding new guys every year, kind of.
Yeah, probably because that your repeat customers are probably picking the same week. They want to hit that same time frame, and then you get multiple people that are doing the same. And next thing you know, all those guys are like family. You know what I mean? They spend a week together with each other every year in your camp in Illinois, and they're fired up to come back again the next year.
Yeah, so you cut out a little bit there, but yeah.
Oh, sorry.
So basically, like you said, those guys have been coming. They continue to bring more and more people every year. They'll tell their buddies, and their group kind of gets bigger every year. And some guys will, I got guys that have been applying for Iowa, and they keep telling me, hey, I'm going to apply for Iowa 1 year and skip out this year 1 year and come back, following year. But their group, their group continues to build, and those guys continue to come, and then, a few pieces fall out here and there, but then they come back the following year, to do a different hunt, Mm-hmm. I get guys that are trying to apply for elk hunts and stuff like that. They get an elk tag, they can only take so much vacation basically. So, but yeah, so I mean, I don't have to sell very many hunts after all my repeat guys book because I know they're going to spread the word and their groups continue to get bigger and stuff like that. So,
yeah. Are you already booked up for this year?
I would like to sell. I think I got 136 guys right now.
Okay.
My number's always been 140, 150. I would like to sell 10 more hunts, but I don't have to. Yeah. I mean, I'm happy where I'm at. I can deal with where I'm at. Mm-hmm. Right now, I mean, everybody that's calling me right now, I mean, I've had a lot of interest in next year. Seems like everybody wants to book for next year. And I'll book for next year. I just tell everybody $500 down now and 50% down by March 1st.
Okay.
Is basically what I require. So,
gotcha. I think I'm one of those guys. I think the Iowa deal is going to fall in place for me next year. I think I'm going to be able to draw Iowa next year, so I'm getting pretty pumped up for that myself.
Yeah.
Success rate. I mean, you already covered that. Do you do a lot of social media work? Does that kind of help you out quite a bit on selling hunts?
Yeah, yeah. I do a lot of. I got into Snapchat a lot. Obviously, Dylan's been following my Snapchat, but I think I've grown to about 2,000 followers on Snapchat in past year.
Nice.
Seems like I'm trying to post videos or pictures every day on Snapchat, and then I used to do TikTok all the time, and then they'd shadow ban me all the time, and they don't want to see no blood on there, and I can't post my scores of deer. And too many videos are getting deleted, and I was getting banned, and I kind of shied away from TikTok a little bit, but I'd like to go back to a little bit of it. But, when somebody kills a deer, it's like, it sucks when you can't go on there and show it off,
Yeah.
And that's what everybody wants to see on TikTok, kind of. And Facebook's a lot of my marketing. We run a lot of ads on Facebook and do a lot of my bookings through it. Mm-hmm. I used to do a lot of shows, but I don't do as many shows anymore. I mean, social media is where it's at.
Yeah, I could see that. When we had when Dylan told me that he was going to have you on, that's how I looked you up, was Facebook, and then I was going through and looking some of your stuff on there. I'm like, man, this looks. And I remember I followed you, and like you said earlier, I think I messaged you on TikTok once asking if you want to come on. Didn't you used to go live on TikTok quite a bit?
I used to do some lives, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I think I remember watching a few of those.
Yeah.
What about if somebody non-hunter wants to come in? Maybe somebody's got like a YouTube or something. They want to have a cameraman or something like that. Is there any kind of rates that apply to that?
Typically, I'll get some guys that bring their wives or tag along, or a cameraman. Typically $300 a week. Pay for the food and lodging, basically. That's all I ask for. So
I got you. Buddy, it's been a great having you on, man. It's pretty cool. I've never really had anybody on here in the outfitter business kind of come on and lay out some details, and I appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to hang out with us for a little bit.
No, I appreciate you guys. It's been fun. Never done it before. Didn't know what to expect. I definitely do it again. I mean, it's pretty easy talking on here. So
yeah, we get that a lot, actually. A lot of people get nervous. I have a lot of people say, I'm really nervous. Dude, just think about it. We're on here drinking beer with one another, talking hunting that you would do with, your buddies in the garage. And we get that response quite a bit. Man, let's run it back. Let's do it again. It'd be a lot different this time. It's like, we'll get you back on, at some point or something,
Sometimes I spend 30, 45 minutes on phone talking to hunters. So it's really no different. I just had a guy call and book a hunt before you guys got on here. Called me like 5:50 and was on the phone until 6:25 with him. And I talked to hunting with him for 35 minutes about hunting. And, he sent me a check next week. So, I mean, I spend a lot of time talking anyway, so it's no different than talking on the phone for 40 minutes.
Right. Well,
I enjoyed it, so thank you guys.
Absolutely. Give Graveyard Whitetails a shout out. Tell where they can find you on everything and all that good stuff.
Yeah, we have a website, Graveyard Whitetails, on the internet. I got Instagram, TikTok under Graveyard Whitetails. My Snapchat's under Graveyard Whitetails. Snapchat, I think's Grace51 if you want to follow it. Should be able to type in Graveyard Whitetails to come up. The Facebook page is Graveyard Whitetails, so basically got it all. I never got into Twitter. That's about the only one I don't have, so. Everybody tells me that Twitter's where it's at, but I've never done it.
It used to be where it's at. I had quite a big following on there for Blue River bow hunting. And then there was just like this time of period where, there used to be a lot of outdoors talk on there, and they didn't censor me or anything like that. And then it just kind of fell off. I don't know why. I don't hardly use it at all anymore.
Okay.
I get a lot of nude porn stars add me on there, and I don't even know how that's a thing. So it's one of those deals that kind of went down the shithole, if you ask me.
I got you. All right.
But I appreciate it, man. For everybody listening in podcast land, hit us with a rate and review. Subscribe if you're watching on the YouTube. But we appreciate Justin for coming on, and we'll be back here again next week for episode 92.